go over some July 7th MLB picks for DraftKings using Fantasy Labs. If you guys don't have an account at Fantasy Labs, as always, the link is in the YouTube description. Make sure you sign up for the full year to take advantage of their discount, and that way you'll get the NFL tools and models as well. So it's July 7th. One sec. I'm just going to share this on Twitter. All right, so we got that tweeted out. Probably see a couple people in the chat. All right, so we got our first person in here. Just make sure my mic's on. Oh, do you wish to exit? No. All right, what's going on, guys? So if you guys have any questions or have any comments or whatever, put them in the chat, and I'll try to check throughout the video. So basically what I do in these videos, if you haven't watched one yet, I just kind of log into my Sports Geek model and check out all of the Fantasy Lab tools for the day and just do a little bit of research. Right now it's 4:40 p.m. Eastern, so the games don't start for another 2 hours and 20 minutes. So a lot of the lineups for the later games aren't out yet, so I usually do my lineup building as close to 7 p.m. as I can. So for that reason, I'm just going to do some research right now and kind of get a rough idea of where I'm going to go. And then when the late games put out their lineups closer to 7, hopefully we have a lot of the lineups then, and then I'll build my lineups hopefully around 6:30, 6:40. So let's start off by taking a look at the Vegas dashboard. Yeah, so sorry, just looking over at the chat there. Let me just take off this webcam. Okay, so there's a couple things to note here. We'll just go through all the games. So let's filter it so it's just the 7 o'clock slate. And we might as well just go through the games one by one and look at the live implied team total and then the difference to see if they've gone up or down. So again, the Blue Jays are over 5. They're always a team to watch at home. And surprisingly, Detroit's got an implied team total of only 4.4. Going up against Hutchinson, I thought it'd be a little bit higher. They might be a good contrarian stack or a contrarian play tonight. Cleveland's been hot. They're at 4.9. Looks like the Texas Rangers, Minnesota Twins game could be a high-scoring game. They're both implied to score over 5 runs, and you can see here Minnesota has gone up 0.3. Texas has gone up 0.1. So the total is rising on that game. That could be a good game to stack or stack either of those two teams. The Cubbies, 6.4, just a huge implied team total there, but surprisingly not the biggest of the night, as we'll see in a second. Nothing too special about these two games. Kansas City 4.4 is okay, but they've both gone down quite a bit. And then here's the big one of the night, 7.3. The Rockies are implied. Their implied team total is 7.3. The Phillies is 5.2. One of the highest totals of the year and probably the highest team total I've seen this year, and possibly, as far as I can remember, almost 7.3 runs. So the Rockies are definitely going to be popular, the hitters for the Rockies. They're not too expensive. I think they should be priced higher given that implied team total. But there is merit to fade them in GPP contest. No tie. No tie right now. Sorry, just looking at the chat, guys. Yeah, hey, Andrew. Hey, RD, what's going on? Sorry, I got lost there. Yeah, so the Rockies have a team total of 7.3. They're going to be very popular in GPPs and cash games. So with GPPs, you might want to try to fade them a little bit and just kind of pray for the best, or you might want to just get exposure to maybe 1 or 2 guys you think are going to drive in the runs, and then be a little contrarian with some other positions. But I think for the most part tonight, just given how high of a team total they have, I'm going to I won't be stacking the Rockies, I don't think. So I might throw in one or two of their hitters in my lineups, but I won't be stacking them because I think it's going to be too popular. I'd rather just hope for the Rockies to have a bad game and take advantage of it, hopefully hitting on another stack. So those are kind of the implied team totals for the night. Quickly look at those, and then I like to quickly look at the lineup card, kind of just check out which lineups are confirmed. Make sure the weather's looking good. You can see Chicago's, looks like there's going to be a bit of rain. We'll have to watch that. Kansas City, a bit of rain. Other than that, it looks pretty clear for the night. And it looks like we've got a lot of the early lineups confirmed. So we're just kind of waiting on, it looks like six lineups. I believe there's 18 in total. So we've got about 2/3 of the lineups confirmed. So we can start kind of building the lineups and kind of getting ideas for where we're going to go closer to the lock time. Would I stack Colorado for a cash game? Yeah, I probably would for cash. Again, going to be a very popular play, but given their implied team total and the price of their players isn't that bad. They're going to be in the 4s and 5s for the most part, but you can still get 54, 56. You can still get some decent prices with the Rockies, given how many runs they're expected to score. So for cash games, I would probably go with the Rocky hitters and maybe go a little cheaper with pitching or other position players. But for GPPs, I think the most popular stack of the night is easily going to be the Rockies. So I'll probably look elsewhere. I'll try to stack another team and maybe throw in 1 or 2 Rocky hitters. So let's quickly take a look at these stacks here. We're going to go confirmed and projected. We're going to do 5-man stack and just kind of see. As expected, Colorado stacks are the most popular, or the highest rated actually. Then followed by Philly, who is playing in Colorado. So that game stack in general is going to be very popular. People are just going to play a lot of Phillies and a lot of Rocky players. We've got Detroit up there, which is, again, what I said would be a good contrarian stack against Hutchison at the Rogers Center. Ball should be flying around there tonight. Hutchison has been struggling. His first start up from AAA. So that would be an interesting stack there to stack some of the Tiger hitters. Again, ton of Colorado stacks are rated high. And then we've got Minnesota, which is one of the stacks I'll be looking at tonight. If we go over to their team total, they're in Texas. They're implied to score 5.3 runs. And let's just kind of sort it. And let's go check out their lineup. So Joe Mauer is one of the highest rated hitters of the night. Yeah, he is actually the highest on the Sports Geek model. So starting him at first base might be a good play tonight. And I kind of like this stack right here, actually. We're going 1, 2, 3, 6, 9. So you're getting 4 hitters in a row, and then you're throwing in Kepler. Let's just check on Kepler here. Yeah, so Kepler's got a really good ISO and WOBA. Against righties. He's a lefty. He can hit home runs, so he might be a good play. So I kind of like that Minnesota stack. So for a GPP, I might start off with something like Minnesota, lock in those hitters, and then we'll move over to pitchers. RD Price says, did I miss something? I'm using your model and my stacks are different. Have rating and CPP. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Mets and Twins. Yeah, I'm talking about the Twins right now. I was going to mention the Mets too. I think they're another good stack for tonight. Okay, back to building this. So let's go to the pitchers here. Take a look at those. We got Rich Hill, number 1. He's very expensive. Rated, him and Pomeranz are pretty much very close here in the ratings. Both number 1 for the night, number 1 options, but they're both expensive, 11.4 and 11.7. And then move down to Duffy, 9,300. And then next up is Hamill at 7,400. So those are the 4 pitchers I'm looking at. They're the top rated in the Sports Geek model. I don't like any of the really cheap pitchers tonight. It's always good to take a look at some of them. Just to be different in GPPs, you could stack a couple cheap pitchers and then get some real expensive hitters. But tonight, I'm not a big fan. If I was going to go cheap, I'd probably go with someone like Doug Fister, who had been putting up double-digit DraftKings points all the way up until his last start. I don't know what that is, maybe 11 starts in a row. So he might be a good option at 6,600. But I think for the most part, I'm going to stick with these 4 guys. It's going to be tough to fit in the expensive pitchers, but let's see if we can finish off this lineup, starting with Rich Hill, and let's see if we can go Duffy. So that leaves us with 2,800 for 3 positions, catcher, second baseman, and shortstop. So like I said yesterday, I like to do catcher last most of the time. So we'll go over to second baseman, see what's going on over here. Ian Kinsler is number 1. He's going to be a little too expensive for this stack. So we're going to have to try to find some value. So sometimes I like to sort by salary and kind of work my way up and see what we have for the cheap position players. So we can go with Adams here. He's got a rating of 65. He's not confirmed yet, but he'll most likely be in the lineup. Maybe not. I don't know what Colorado's been doing with their lineup lately, but let's lock him in right now. That's why I build the lineups closer to 7, so we know for sure who's in, so you don't have to be scrambling around. But let's lock him in, hoping that he gets the start tonight. Go to shortstop here, and we have about 2,700 for the last 2 positions for each player. So again, we're going to have to sort by salary and find someone really cheap down here. And unfortunately, no one's really high rated. But we could... So what I might have to do is take out Duffy as my second pitcher and go down to Hamill, who's about almost $2,000 cheaper. So that leaves us some more room to play with. So let's go back to shortstop. And we're looking about 3,700 per. So if I throw in the top-rated shortstop, Blanco, in there, get some exposure to the Colorado Philly game, Coors Field, that leaves us with 3,300 for the catcher. So let's see if we can find a good catcher for that price. So we've got 2 options right away that stick out. Centeno, who's a little higher rated, and then Ruiz, who is another good option. But I definitely would favor Centeno here. Actually, we can't do that because we've got the Minnesota stack and we've got 5 hitters already. So I can't do that. So we're going to probably have to go with Ruiz in this one, or you could go down to someone like Perez, who isn't much lower than Ruiz, even though he is 3 players lower here in the model. He's only 2 points in the rating system. So I might go with Perez. He's already confirmed. He's got a much better ISO, a better WOBA. Let's just check. Yeah, so he's hitting well this month. 0.211 ISO this month, 0.337 WOBA. So I think I would drop down to Perez and lock him in there. And that would leave me with $400 left. And that's a pretty good GPP lineup for tonight right there. A Minnesota stack, which is going to be not too highly owned. And it's kind of a weird stack there with the 6 and 9 hitters who both have good ratings on the night. So that would be a good GPP lineup there. Look, I'm going to check the chat here. Contrarian as catcher. Not sure what you mean by that. How about Bauer? He might be a hidden gem. Yeah, Bauer, I think, rates pretty good. Yeah, he's in the darker green here. He would be a good GPP play. A lot of people will be going to Duffy for sure. And if you see Bauer's game log, he had a 42-point night 3 starts ago. 27, 36. So he definitely has some good upside. And he's been pretty consistent, putting up decent DraftKings points over at least 6 starts. So Bauer would definitely be a good GPP play. I think I would guess that Duffy is going to be about 20, maybe even 20 to 30% higher owned than Bauer. Duffy might be 40% owned just because he's such a good option for tonight given his price. So I think Trevor Bauer would be a good GPP play over Duffy, or you could stack the 2 and build from there. Definitely a good option. I think I'll stick with these four guys up here. I want to try to build some lineups with these more expensive guys because I think a lot of people will be stacking Coors Field tonight and will have troubles fitting in Hill or Pomeranz. So I'm going to see what I can do there. Other stacks I like, obviously, we have the Coors game, which I do like, but for GPPs, I'll probably be fading. We got the Cubbies at 6.4. Just got to watch the weather there. Someone asked in the chat, Yankees or Indians tonight. I think the Indians are always in play lately, and they're at 4.9 for their implied team total. It's gone up a little bit. Again, the Yankees are only at 4.1, but they have gone up 0.3, so that's something to watch. The Mets, I don't know if there's a pitching change, but the Mets and the Nationals implied team totals both moved up 0.7. So I believe there was probably a pitching change today. I'll have to check on that. Usually don't see the implied team totals jump that much. So I guess my favorite stacks of the night for GPPs to be contrarian, I would say would be the Cubs, the Rangers, the Twins, the Mets, and the Blue Jays, and the Tigers. I gotta go with the Rogers Center, both teams there. So there's about 6 teams that I would like tonight for GPPs. Again, you probably want to mix in 1 or 2 hitters from Coors Field just to get a bit of exposure to that game. But fading it could work out tonight if they both have bad games hitting wise. A lot of people are going to be on all of those players, so that could work out well for GPPs. Again, they could go off for huge nights and ruin your night pretty quickly, but that's a risk you gotta take for GPPs. So any other questions before I sign off? I'll just watch the chat because there's a bit of a delay. So if you guys have any questions, leave them in there. Other than that, there's not too much to talk about now until all of the lineups are confirmed. But again, like I said last night, I like to pick on these players these pitchers who rank poorly on the Sports Geek model. So the guys in the reds. So again, we're looking at stacky Mets, Rockies, Twins, Nationals, and Indians. So those 5 pitchers down here are rating poorly for this model. Doesn't mean that they're going to have a bad game, just more for DFS purposes, but I find that they usually do have a bad game, and it's good to stack some of these teams, especially the lowest. I've had success with the lowest rated pitcher stacking against them, so the Mets would be a solid stack tonight for sure. Yeah, there was a pitching change for the Mets. Okay. Thanks for letting me know. Cubs, yeah, like I said, the Cubs, let's take a look at their lineup. So the Cubs have an implied team total of 6.4. If you stack just their straight 1 to 5, you're getting mostly expensive hitters. La Stella is 3.9. Not too bad. But again, yeah, Cubs will probably be pretty popular behind the Rockies and Phillies, but I would rather go with the Cubs than the Rockies tonight for GPPs. Does Vegas include bullpen? Yeah, Vegas lines take into consideration everything, so that would include bullpen as well. And that looks like it, guys. No more questions coming in. So to recap, teams I would look at stacking tonight for GPPs to be a little contrarian: Tigers, Blue Jays, Mets, Rangers, Twins, Cubbies. So for GPPs, I don't want to say to not to stack the Rockies, but I personally won't be, just because I know about 30 to 50% of people will have a lot of the hitters from Coors Field. So for that reason, I'll stack and just kind of hope for the best, expect the worst. And then pitchers, the top 4 rated in the Sports Geek model are my favorite plays for tonight: Hill, Pomeranz, Duffy, Hamill. Also would take a look at Bauer, and if you need a second cheap option, maybe Doug Fister. And that's it for me. I don't think I'll go with anyone other than those 6. Someone says Rizzo or Carlos Santana. So Rizzo's at 62.4. Good ISO, really, really good WOBA. Carlos Santana is 70.3. So I would have to go with Carlos Santana for that. He's leading off tonight So if I had to choose between the two, I would go with Santana. Probably be lower owned as well. All right, guys, that's it for today's stream. If you guys enjoy these videos, make sure you click the like or the thumbs up button on YouTube, and I'll continue to try to do them every day if I can. Good luck in your contest tonight. Hope you guys make some money.